10% tournament. The countdown started, so it should be starting in just a minute here when I put the stream delay.
Galactic date
And they're off.
20XX.
All right. So we got a great race for you today here. JHawk versus Ice Cube. Ice Cube on the right here, coming from the winner's bracket, and JHawk from the loser's bracket. So if JHawk wins this race, we'll have a second race for because it's a double elimination tournament. All right, going into Alf's section here. JHawk with a little bit of a lead this one. So first we gotta go to the bridge here. We'll be pushing our Pikmin along to speed them up just that little bit more. So the blue Pikmin are pretty slow. We want to give them as much help as we can get. And once this bridge is finished, we'll be making our way to the other side, and we'll be growing as many Pikmin as we can. By the end of day one here, we'll be growing up to 21 Pikmin. Alright, Ice Cube seems to have made up some of that deficit. They seem to be pretty much dead even coming back to the onion here after this first round. And there should be one more round of growing Pikmin, and then we'll have all the Pikmin we need on this day to push that off and move on to day 2. There's a little trick our runners are gonna be trying here to make the sprouts come out of the onion a little bit quicker out of the 5 pellet. If they combine the 1 pellet and the 5 pellet together properly, it will make the sprouts from the 5 pellet come out a little bit quicker. And Ice Cube seemed to have got it really well, and so did JHawk. So not too big of a time difference from our runners here after day 1. Which is to be expected. There's not a whole lot of room for optimization on day 1, but there's plenty more of a race for either of these runners to pull ahead. So the first day was pretty straightforward because we didn't have a lot of coming up on day 2, we'll really start to see the extent of the multitasking that we see in this game, as we have a lot more Pikmin to work with, so we'll be able to split them up on a bunch of different tasks. Alright, coming out of day one, looks like JHawk is just a little bit ahead by about 1 second or so here. So when we land on day 2, right away we're going to see a lot of multitasking going on. We have to build a bridge to get across a stream, but while we're doing that, we need to break down a gate to get to the bridge pieces, and as well as grabbing the bridge pieces to build it, as well as growing more Pikmin. So we'll see our runners split up our Pikmin on a bunch of different tasks. We're setting 8 on that gate, throwing our Pikmin, throwing 7 across here to work on this wall over here. We'll have some of our Pikmin breaking back in while we do all our stuff over here. That will save the time of, if we don't do that, we'd have to just sort of stand in front of it and basically come down. So an extra layer of multitasking going on there. If you notice on day 1, when you're grabbing the bridge button for Pikmin go up, takes them to the bridge and then automatically go back to dragging and grab them again. So you've got 7 Pikmin on that pile, we'll take 2 cycles to finish it. And if things line up just right, our Pikmin over here will be finishing it at just around the same time. That's kind of what we want to see with good routing in this game, is that like everything gets done right around the same time. If you notice back there, we also found some nectar. That will allow our Pikmin to be flowered. Flower Pikmin move a lot faster, everything's a lot faster, so we want as many flower Pikmin as we can, and there will be several opportunities throughout day 2 to get more of our Pikmin flowered. So now our runners are heading into the rock Pikmin cave and be meeting our second type of Pikmin, the rock Pikmin. After we take down this enemy here. So as you can see, rock Pikmin are really strong and they can take down these crystals. As well as in battle, they will do a lot of impact damage and get knocked off of the enemies instead of like how most Pikmin work, is that they latch on and do damage over time. So they have their uses in battle, but in general you want to use red Pikmin for battles most of the time. So now we just rescued our second captain, Brittany, and Brittany will just increase our abilities to multitask, to be able to separate our captains and be able to do, being in 2 places at once will help out a lot. Like right away we see our runners sort of throw Brittany off to the side so she can start plucking Pikmin a little faster while we go to break down this crystal wall here. The glass walls don't break down faster than the original, but what is changed is that rock Pikmin do the maximum damage even if they are just walking into things instead of being thrown. So rock Pikmin were slightly buffed a little bit from the Wii version. So we're heading up towards the first boss fight of the run, the Armored Maudat. But back on that previous side, Elf side of the river there, we're taking down these enemies and using them to Pikmin, just a little bit more multitasking, being able to do that while we're doing the boss fight.
JHawk's looking pretty good in a solid lead right now.
Yeah, good, like 5-second lead, looks like, going into Maudat.
Yeah, fantastic. Maudat fight, thankfully, one of the more consistent boss fights in this game.
Yeah, there's a little bit of RNG in where he goes, like how quickly he goes to the wall. If he goes to the wall quick, it's really easy to
that definitely
play
seems like
pretty
a fast.
optimally, and looks like Ice Cube is... Oh, Ice Cube got the shake. He's gonna lose a little bit of time to that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
JHawk able to get 20 on the phone very, very easily.
Yeah.
It can be tricky in Pikmin 3 to get maximum Pikmin loaded on something. So
certainly.
Looks like both of our runners were able to do it pretty well, though.
Yeah, it's very fortunate. That's really good.
But that boss fight is going to cost Ice Cube, and he's going to be down by a good 10 seconds. It looks like going into day 3.
Yeah, it depends on how consistent they get the day 3 skips. But you know, day 3 is the day that you can definitely see a swing if things get weird.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of big tricks that can be pretty volatile in day 3. A yellow onion skip, and of course just the general clipping up out of bounds for early boss bat.
Well, unfortunately, these runners are so good that like even if they don't fail it completely, you know, taking a little bit longer, you know, taking 10-15 seconds to get it set up, you know, could be enough to put Ice Cube back in the lead. Yeah, depending on how solid Ice Cube is. But yeah, the boss fights are one of the things where it's like, you know, they're not insanely complicated, but you know, if you accidentally mess up and you get sort of these extra cycles, it can be pretty brutal.
Yeah, but especially because 3 Deluxe has the half health compared to 3U, the boss fights are a lot more consistent than they used to be.
Right. That's a great point, Pi. That's a great point.
Phosbat on 3U was the worst.
Yeah, there was a lot more of a precise timing, and now you can basically sort of just, you know, as long as you're close enough, you're fine.
You had to be absolutely perfect on all 3 cycles to get the 3 cycle, and now you can be off by quite a bit and still get a 2 cycle. It's fine.
Yeah, crazy. Absolutely crazy. But
yeah, heading into day 3, we got
yeah. Well, day 3 is of course,
first.
yeah. Well, yeah, do you wanna? Yeah, I mean, it's day 3 is just an amazing day to watch in the 80% run, just because there's so much. It definitely is the most break heavy.
Absolutely.
Day in the run.
Starting off right away, we have yellow onion skip. Normally you have to grow 20 yellow Pikmin to push the boulder to get out of this cave, but the runners are just gonna walk up out of bounds and get right out of there. And
the consequence being that, of course, you never actually unlock the yellow onion, hence yellow onion skip, which is really useful because it saves basically this entire cutscene where the yellow onion has to merge with. Here we see JHawk trying to go for it.
Yeah, so optimally this trick saves about a minute, but the downside is that after day 3, we don't have yellows for the rest of the run. So
now,
JHawk
course,
fell down the slide, which basically puts them back to dead
actually,
even.
Ice is now ahead, basically. So this is exactly what I was talking about, where it's like, man, Ice Cube messing up the Maudad fight. Missing that cycle on the Maudad fight was brutal, but this is the thing with a game that is so sequence break heavy with these sort of finicky tricks, is that Ice Cube has now actually once again taken the lead.
Yeah, just one slip up down that slide by JHawk, and Ice Cube was able to pull ahead.
An insane reversal. Of course, one thing that's going to be that's super interesting about Yellow Onion Skip is that things definitely get a little bit wonky later in the run, like with how the onion works, right? Because it thinks you have yellow Pikmin, but you don't.
Yeah, we'll get to that once we unlock wings and
yeah, fair enough. It definitely is one of the skips that has long-lasting ramifications throughout the rest of the run.
So we just sort of glossed over, but there's some really precise out-of-bounds movement here, especially across the stream. If you're just a tiny bit too far to the right, you go into that loading zone. If you're just a tiny bit too far to the left, you fall out of bounds. But both are runners able to make it through that stream very well. And now we're going to do a long whistle to call all our Pikmin. And as long as Pikmin are in your party, as long as you see that number when you go through the loading zone, they teleport to you because the game thinks they're with you.
Right, yeah. It's a very convenient mechanic in Pikmin 3 where they have these sort of different areas unlocked by loading zones.
Yeah, so now we need 10 yellows to activate these wires to stun the boss, but we only have 5, but luckily there's a candy pot button placed right there. So we're able to turn 5 reds into yellows and stun the boss with them. And
luckily, it's very convenient that you only need 10 yellows. You only need 10 yellows for the entire run, so it is very convenient how that works. And they basically were even throughout the rest of day 3, so Ice is going to hang on to this sort of tenuous several second lead. Yeah. But that's pretty good, all things considered, considering that Ice was up to 10 or 15 seconds behind out of day 2. So
yeah, absolutely.
So proving to be a very close race, which is always exciting. Day 4, in comparison, is sort of nondescript. I mean, you have a mirror slug fight, which is, and some cool bomb strats, but you also do have a pretty important captain clip in the beginning. That's yeah.
So there are a couple different setups for this. One setup involves not moving the camera at all the entire day up until that clip, and luckily it's one of the first things you do. But I don't know what strats our runners will be doing.
Yeah, Ice and JHawk are both, all things considered, very consistent at these tricks. So it's cool to see if they have different strategies or approaches.
Yeah, this one in particular does seem to be one of the tougher clips to get. So it might take them a couple tries, but luckily each try only takes a second or 2.
Okay. Yeah, Ice is taking a
But if they don't want to cooperate, it could take a little bit. And JHawk gets it first try, and he's able to pull ahead because Ice Cube's having some trouble.
Yeah. They're crazy, but yeah, so so
just goes to show how important nailing these tricks is.
Yeah. It definitely is one of those where it's really hard, and it's pretty brutal sometimes, especially for any percent speed runs where it's you need to, the time loss from not getting these things immediately is pretty brutal. And
at the top level, when these runners are so good and so close to each other, losing only 10 seconds on that clip is actually kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it is really cool. Just just how it happens to work. That the nature of this race has been just all these reversals off these tricks. I think it's really highlighted how important these tricks are and how maybe not easy these tricks are either.
Exactly. And after this first cycle, our runners are throwing some Pikmin up to that dirt mound to get some bombs. We're using bombs on the last cycle just to guarantee to kill them immediately.
I seem to have some problems throwing enough Pikmin up to the bomb area. I wonder if that's gonna negatively affect him here as well. Yeah, he's trying to throw some more reds up there. Oh, no, so he gets it. Okay, that's good. I was getting a little nervous. All right, it works out for him. And actually, a pretty good scenario for both of them, all things considered. Ice has, despite having some trouble throwing the reds up there, has sort of maintained this 1 second deficit, which is very workable. All that's left is to just do some wall killing for the rest of this day.
Yeah, so once that phone gets moving, there's not much you can do to speed up the day other than make sure the path is cleared by the time it gets there. So as long as they're able to blow up that wall in time and get the fruit and bulb collected in time, then I think JHawk will maintain this 2 second or so lead going into day 5.
You'll notice that they both killed some Pikmin. They drowned some Pikmin. That drowning is intentional. They want exactly 100 Pikmin for the next day, just because there is some finicky behavior regarding how the onion works now because of the yellow onion skip.
Yeah, additionally, they want
it's the exact 100. It's basically because taking out all your Pikmin at the same time is sort of awkward now. Is that,
I remember the drowning cutscene. They wanted a Pikmin to drown because they don't want to activate the drowning cutscene on day 5 because it messes with some cycles.
Oh, that's also very smart. I actually hadn't thought of that. I hadn't really thought of the yellow onion skip. That makes sense.
So you may have noticed they sort of waited on collecting the bulwark. They want it to have just gotten seen by the tractor beam, I guess, as they end the day, because that will allow them to just end the day and have all the Pikmin already in the onion without having to pluck them all.
Yeah, it's sort of nice that it doesn't have to sprout at all, and that you can just sort of have those sprouts be generated sort of automatically with the cutscene interruption. It's very clever.
So day 5 starts off with another Captain Clip up to the wing Pikmin onion, and then we'll be growing 17 wing Pikmin. The important thing to note here is how quickly they can get up to 10 Pikmin to pull the dam, because that will allow this right side of the river to start flowing, and that's what will let them move on to the next day. So you can sort of think of like, you can't move on until that river starts flowing. So whoever gets the river flowing first will have the leads, I guess.
This has proven to be just sort of a very textbook interesting race where JHawk actually struggled a little bit on this Captain Clip, and Ice got it first try. And so sort of in a complete reversal as to what happened on day 4, and on day 5 now we have Ice now ahead by a slight, again, another tenuous lead. But it's sort of been almost crazy how exact they've been at trading on the quality of these skips and sequence breaks.
Yeah, it's great to see how close these runners are and how much the lead keeps going back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, shows through the really hard. There's a lot of hard elements in this game as well, and I think that showing how hard it is and how precise you have to be is also really great, and I think they've done a great job of showing that.
It's always great to see races like this, and as opposed to ones that are just a blowout, and that one person's gonna win the race, even like before it's halfway over.
Oh yeah, I mean you don't know who's gonna win this up for sure. You'll notice how, so what Ty was talking about earlier with the cycles, you notice that, that these captains are on lily pads, right? You have to hop on these lily pads sort of as they come, and they'll come in waves and cycles, so you can't ever miss one permanently, but it does sort of, you certainly have to sort of obey the cycle and sort of adjust for the cycle.
Yeah, so if you miss the first cycle, then you'll lose like about 10 seconds having to wait for the next one.
They've gone on the same level.
And looks like JHawk pulls ahead by about a second or two here.
We talk a lot about the skips, but there is something to be said for just slightly better movement, and if the wings, if the growing the wings behaves a little bit better for JHawk. I mean, that's a very common way for.
Absolutely, and just like right here, JHawk seemed to have taken a couple seconds longer just throwing Pikmin on that spicy plant there.
So I mean, we talk a lot about skips, but there is truly a lot of.
There's a lot to be said about just playing good,
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of execution as well to it. So I think it's important to.
Like, these runners are really good at the skips, of course, but it's you shouldn't overlook just how good they are at Pikmin,
So clip sort of aggressive. So JHawk Captain which is very understandable. I mean, getting them to chill on that percent is not always easy.
Right, so Ice Cube pulling ahead a little bit more now, coming into the boss fight. And on the first cycle of this boss fight, when it lines up to attack, you want to kill at least 18 of the little guys, because that'll allow, or that'll force the Scornet Maestro to attack faster on the second cycle, saving a significant amount of time.
Very interesting. Yeah.
And this boss fight should be our first use of a spicy spray in the run. Spicy spray will, it will flower our Pikmin. It'll flower everyone in our squad, as well as it will power them up. So, especially wing Pikmin will do a lot more damage than they would otherwise.
So, it seems something has gone. Oh no, never mind. Everything works. I thought something was wrong. It's working. I think JHawk saved a little bit of time here, but Ice Cube maintains the Scornet is the half health that you have from the original.
Yeah, on 3U or on hard mode, you'd have to have a 4-cycle fight, and so playing on normal is just a massive time save there. Alright, coming up on the one of the most finicky tricks in the run, definitely.
Yeah, if you want to talk about Louis skip, you should go right ahead.
Yeah, so because we skipped building the bridge up here, there's an invisible wall we have to clip through, and we have to clip Louis through here, and it's very, very finicky. Runners are gonna set him down and pick him up again in the right spot. And
Ice Cube seems to be
having a little trouble.
But he has an advantage. He can struggle a little bit. He just has to see if he can get it before JHawk.
You generally want Louis to be more on the left side, but alright, he's almost got him down.
So,
and
first try, unsurprising.
Ice Cube is the first one to get Louis down. JHawk having a little trouble too. Yeah. Seems like he's using the wings to try to push Louis to the left there.
There's a lot of he also Captain to push Louis a little bit more left.
Yeah, so when the Pikmin set Louis down, there is a small window where Louis is able to be pushed by the captain, so you want to push him to the left there.
Alright, yeah, and JHawk on that too.
Right. Yeah, JHawk having some trouble with that.
Yeah.
So that's going to give Ice a pretty sizable lead going into day 6.
Yeah. it's rough to see, but you know, I mean, it's important for myself and, you know, for other viewers and stuff to remember that, you know, the last boss, there's a lot of finicky stuff that can happen on day 6, but mostly on Formidable Oak. So, you know, nothing is super safe. So, but yeah, I mean, Louis skipped, you know, it took Ice a couple tries too. I mean, neither person got it first try, you know, it is a little bit of a, of just like a very finicky skip, and everyone sort of has, I feel like, they're almost their own superstitious way of doing it. Like some people like to use wings, some people don't, some people like to only use rocks, and some people like to push it in different locations. It definitely is one where
there's not like one best way to do it. It's just like whatever works best for you, you know.
Yeah, it seems to definitely be sort of one that goes off of feel.
Yeah, so Ice Cube does have a pretty sizable lead right now, but especially day 7, there's a lot that can go wrong, like in the final boss fight, for example.
Yeah, it's pretty basics actually. Well, especially with the modern route of day 6, it isn't so bad.
Yeah, day 6 is really quick. There's not really too much that can go wrong.
But of course, you know, there's always, as you know, as you point out, right? I mean, still is a pretty solid execution ceiling to this game. So, you know, I mean, if JHawk sort of hustles, you know, and just you know, gets to place the drags a little bit, then, you know.
Yeah, I think the worst thing that can happen on day 6 is if you accidentally hit the damage cap on the boss and don't uncycle it.
Oh wow, that'd be. So you sort of like sneak around the damage cap, right? You might have to remind me how the damage cap works.
Yeah, so the way Myroclops works is when he spins his tongue around to eat all your Pikmin. If he's supposed to have a damage cap at 3/8 of his health, but if it's far enough in the animation of the attack, the game just forces him to finish the animation, and which functionally removes the damage cap until the end of that animation. So what you want to do is like get just under that damage cap, and then once you reach that point in the animation, you just load on and kill him right away.
So yeah, actually had a faster captain clip with than Ice Cube. Unfortunately, because JHawk's far enough behind, you know, you don't see that translate into a lead for him yet. But it does. It was a good start.
Yep, so here Ice Cube going into the second cycle of the fight here. He's going to bait out the attack, and then...
Yeah, and this is the damage cap that you were talking about.
Yes, and then load some reds on. So he wants to not do too much damage quite yet, and right about now the damage is lifted, and perfect, yeah. Able to get the one cycle. Very nice. And now, we sort of glossed over this before the fight, but we set our wing Pikmin on this dirt pile here to dig up some bridge shards for us. And we're going to be building this bridge.
Yeah, I think it's easier to talk about. Yeah. Or to describe why this matters so much, it's better to talk about. So before this, the old paradigm was that you would use wings. Right, and carry Louis off this unformed bridge. Of course, yeah, winged Pikmin carry slower.
They carry a lot slower, and they would carry a lot slower route too, because they have to reroute off to the left.
Yeah. So, so the main advantage of this is that, you know, by sending these wings off to the side, which you can do because
you don't need them in the fight.
Yeah, you don't need them in the fight because of the low health. You basically just can route Louis super fast. So it's very nice to see. It's, you know, some major time save, to be honest. And it's a cool route variation you don't see in the normal Pikmin 3 speedrun.
I'm sure if people went back to it, we would
you could
reincorporate this. But ever since the release of 3 Deluxe, it seems like everyone just wants to focus on this game.
Yeah, I mean, bigger audience. I mean, it's also that's just because it's a little bit faster. There's just been a little bit more sort of excitement in like the optimization. But yeah, it's not like all of these optimizations are Switch exclusive, but they just sort of came about in the Switch era, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a surge of activity ever since Pikmin 3 Deluxe came out, which is amazing to see the evolution of the run over the past few months.
The community has grown a lot, to be honest. Which is really good to see. And I guess that's I mean, as we predicted, day 6 didn't see a huge swing here or there, but I mean, I think they both pretty much played it, as well as one could expect in race. But it then brings us to, of course, the final day, which depending on how certain things go, can either be very, very quick and very easy, or a little bit more challenging. And it all comes down to the final boss.
Right. So the first thing we have is sort of an escort mission. We have to carry Olimar out of the cave here. While we're doing that, our runners are gonna sort of break off Charlie and Elf to collect some bomb rocks for the fight.
Right.
And these bomb rocks will do a lot of damage to the boss, and we ideally will be able to kill it very quickly this way. But there is a lot of risk to this, because if you don't kill it quite fast enough, the boss can actually regenerate a lot of its health back, and you'd lose more than all of the time save that you would have had.
The main thing that the bomb route takes advantage of is, unlike in the past, I was talking earlier about how, when you enter new areas, you just bring all the Pikmin with you in your party. But the Formidable Oak boss fight is actually sort of a unique, just in the sense that when the boss fight starts, all of the Pikmin that were in Formidable Oak come back to you. And so even if there's Pikmin that are collecting bombs that aren't in your party, those bombs will actually come back to you when the boss fight starts. So it's sort of a unique sort of joining mechanic just specifically for this boss fight. And it makes this sort of really, it's sort of some really intense multitasking, because you don't have to bring all the Pikmin back to you at the end. The bombs will come to you for the boss fight, which is great.
Yes, absolutely. And we see Ice Cube there toss some reds off to the side to lead with Charlie. Those guys will be used to pick up some bomb rocks while Olimar's getting carried.
The wing Pikmin actually took a little bit. The wing Pikmin took a little bit longer for Ice Cube to get all the way up to the sort of the 10 block, which can sometimes be a fancy thing in general. But because of that, JHawk actually has made up a little bit of time. So this is proving to be maybe a potentially close race. Only about 10 seconds back, which is less time than a potential error can make in the final boss. But yeah, here's where you see Ice Cube, we're starting to see some of the bomb multitasking.
Right, Ice Cube is sending Elf down there to get bombs, sending Charlie over here to get bombs, and
So Pikmin caught on fire for Jay. It's only unfortunate because of that cutscene.
Alright, Ice Cube looks like he's gonna start in the final fight in just a few seconds here, so let's see how he manages to do. Again, as we said, we're looking for all 7 of these bombs to hit him and be able to kill him very shortly after, before he's able to regenerate.
Yeah.
JHawk not far behind, so if Ice Cube messes up this fight, he could cost him the race.
Yeah, this is actually proving to be a fairly good fight. Yeah, fairly good race. So
keep in mind again that Ice Cube is from the winner's bracket, so if he wins, that's it. And,
wow, actually, that's a very
there
fast
it
fight,
is.
Wow, GG's Ice Cube, but we're gonna see, JHawk looking to be not even 20 seconds behind. So I would say for a skip heavy race, wow, fantastic. Oh, see, this is what can happen. Sometimes you can lose. So Ice got the ultra quick kill. Yeah, I mean,
JHawk still has a pretty solid fight though. There.
No, that was still a very solid fight. It's just Ice Cube got the ultra quick kill. Still a very solid race between these two parties. GG's for Ice for taking the any percent tournament though. Ice is your Pikmin 3 any percent champion.
Congratulations, Ice Cube.
Honestly, I mean, I don't think, aside from potentially a bracket reset, I don't think we could have asked for, sort of a better showcase for grand finals, if I'm going to be honest. I mean, we saw a lot of different, back and forth trades, like Ice was looking really bad at a day 2 and, it just went back and forth. And so, I mean, I think it really showcased, sort of the different play styles, sure, but also just sort of how the skips work and operate, and the different ways of success and failure. And so, I mean, I really think it was a really good showing for grand finals.
It was great to see such a close race. Really, a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, crazy. I mean, it's these two runners. You were also very, very competitive top runners on the original 3. So there is a little bit of, if we want to go there, it's sort of poetic that we could see a nice race between these two people. I mean, and in a way, it was sort of nice. A lot of the matches at the end were really close. I mean, you had JHawk and Claris and Ice and others, and so yeah, this was fantastic. Fantastic tournament all around. I mean, thank you for SpeedGaming, obviously, for helping us showcase this game for over the last month or so. It's been really awesome.
Yeah, very nice race. Good job. GG, both of our runners, and congratulations, Ice Cube, for taking the tournament. Yeah.
I guess I'll also say that if you've been tuning into these any percent tournaments and you want to get started on Pikmin 3, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and you want to learn, I mean, really anything related to the speed game. It doesn't even have to be any percent. You should feel free to join the Discord if you haven't. It's on speedrun.com. If and the Pikmin speedrunning community is super friendly. And so we would love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a lot of new runners ever since 3 Deluxe, and there are a lot of people willing to help new runners out for helping learn the game. So if this looks interesting to you, absolutely come join the Discord.
Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, and it looks like we got Ice Cube in here.
Hello.
Ice Cube.
Hello, guys.
Congratulations on victory.
Thanks.
This was a pretty close race between you guys, honestly. There was a lot of really good back and forth. I know you really couldn't see the other racer while you were going, but you guys actually traded the lead. I think maybe 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
Throughout the entire race, it was very close.
Up until Louis clip, it was very close. You guys went back and forth like every day seemed to be trading the lead.
Well, I guess that makes an interesting race then. Cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it was great to watch.
Yeah. You know, it was really sick. I mean, how did you guys feel about it?
Well, on my side, it wasn't a particularly good run, but well, I didn't get major bad things, I would say, except Louis clip, which was a bit slow, but still clipped in the end. So yeah, in the end, it was I would say average run, but with no major mistakes, thankfully.
Yeah, pretty similar for me. I think my Louis clip was maybe bad by like 50 seconds. That was the primary mistake, though.
I mean, you both got like a 40 low and a 40 mid, which is, to be fair, that's like, you know, a minute slower than, you know, roughly a minute slower than you guys want to be. But I think for a race that's not abnormal, I think, especially since, you know, missing skip clips and stuff can sort of bleed time. So I think those times for races aren't, you know, again, it's not perfect, but I think that's, you know, I don't think that's terrible for a race, you know, when you're on the spot and you're trying to.
Can't ask for too much better. Like, I mean,
yeah, sure. Like,
in a one-off race, kind of.
Yeah.
How are you saying?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, well, because it's no reset, of course, your expectations are a bit lower on some stuff. But yeah, well, I guess low mid 40s is quite okay for a race.
Yeah, especially considering how good the time would have been. Like even like, you know, like a month and a half. I mean, it's the routing is.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think with the current route, like the current world record by Clarice is very, very optimized with the current route. And yeah, I can't see the time go much lower than that unless we find some new skips, which can totally happen at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy. Yeah, I mean, I know JHawk got like a personal best before the race before this, right? So I mean, I think you guys are also. Clarice, who of course wasn't here, currently has the record. You know, she's obviously incredible, but I mean, you know, obviously you guys are both, you know, you've both been running Pikmin 3 for a long time, so I don't doubt that you guys could also, you know, take it at any point, you know, if everything goes, you know, the way that you need it to.
Yeah, it really just comes down to nailing all of those tricks. Like if you get Captain Clip's first try, quick Louis clip.
Yeah,
not losing too much time elsewhere. Like,
sure, but to get 38, you really need some almost flawless run, like very close to your goal splits. Like I think my goal splits are like barely 38, maybe not even 38, to be honest. So
yeah, it's crazy just how far the game has come, how optimized it's gotten over just.
She really optimized her time, I think, which is satisfying to see. I guess
like there's a different fruit route, which I also think is super interesting. Then that the classic fruit route that I think is, I don't know. I mean, I just think it's really cool because she's just a very different player.
Yeah, I think that the difference is very, very small, like maybe 1 or 2 seconds. I don't know, but yeah, I think if she's doing this route, it's probably a bit faster. But yeah,
Clarice herself said it was half a second. So I don't think.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you're losing. Like I don't think you're losing world record to it. At least not yet.
Sure.
I mean, I meant to highlight that, you know, like it's cool because, you know, she's a very different player, right? Like, you know, she just sort of approaches the game differently than a lot. I mean, and I think you all are sort of different players a little bit, but I just think it's sort of good to see a little bit more variety, you know.
Well, yeah, it's interesting that even at this level, you can have 2 different routes with fruit routes, and it ends up almost being the same. It's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations, Ice, on
GG's
winning the tournament. And
congrats, everyone, and thanks for organizing, commenting.
Big shout outs to SpeedGaming for helping host this tournament. And I guess that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks for watching.
Yes.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Bye.